Hi, today I feel very fortunate to have amazing musicians that I've been following for many, many years. Kenny Werner, how are you?
Hi, good to see you.
Born 1951 in Brooklyn, grown up in Long Island.
Yeah.
You started to play music very early. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey, how you started?
Well, I started playing at 7. A neighbor's father was playing for a kid's birthday, and I never saw a piano played live. And so I kind of freaked out and went home and asked my parents to get a piano. And I took to it really fast. And then I was playing gigs at 9. And then 11, I had a little single out. They used to put out singles.
And a TV show appearance at age 11?
A few TV shows, yeah. But then kind of came back down to earth. And, just performed and went to school. And then my career started more in earnest around, middle 70s, and then it really started to take shape in the early 80s.
So classical trained, started with classical music. Where do you sort of merge in to jazz and improvisation?
Well, I wasn't that committed to classical music, actually. That's what my teacher was teaching me. And I wasn't that committed to jazz either. To tell you the truth, I liked movies. If I'd had my head on straight, I would have been scoring movies. That's really what I was meant to do. But when I went to Berkeley, which was first I went to Manhattan School of Music as a concert piano major, and it really wasn't right for me. When I went to Berkeley, I got much more seriously into jazz because that's what was happening. And when I came out of Berkeley, I guess I was a jazz musician.
Well, if we talk a little bit about Berkeley, you attended here in 1970, and we were talking to your good friend Joe Lovano earlier today. We were talking to George Garçon yesterday, and they were talking about this year as sort of like those kind of years as the magic years. It was you, it was Joe Lovano there, it was George Garçon, we had Ted Lowe going there, and it seemed like you guys had a very strong group. John Scofield was there.
Joey Barron.
Joey Barron. How did that shape you as a musician those years?
Well, a lot of those guys are still my friends. I would say the biggest way it shaped me is that it turned me more into the jazz world. I don't think I was intentionally going there. These guys were much more committed than I was. But that kind of tuned me in, and then of course I listened to a lot of records at that time and went to a lot of concerts, and when I came out, I guess that's what I was. The biggest thing that shaped me was just musically, is that we all used to do a lot of free improvisation. I mean, hours and hours. Sometimes it wasn't that we went to school, it was what we did after school, just playing all night sometimes, and playing during the day. And those sessions, which were mostly free, created energies which I think all of us in one way or another we draw from today.
And we have to think, this is over 45 years ago.
God.
And you're still doing projects with, let's say, with Joe Lovano. And you also, of course, had a stint in Mel Lewis later on that year.
Right.
Maybe tell us also, you went to Brazil with Victor Assis, Brazil.
Right. Who also was at Berkeley. I met him at Berkeley.
And that also led to, you studied with his brother João and formed one of the classic books of music today, Effortless Mastery.
Yeah, those were the roots of it. João and a teacher in Boston named Madame Shaloff.
Of course.
And the two of them gave me the roots of what eventually became my own path. And the only reason it became a book is because when I started to teach, it turned out I was teaching it a little differently. And it had to do with just becoming a clear channel for the music.
For the people who haven't read that book, can you just give us a quick insight what it's about?
Well, it's about becoming a clear channel for the music. One of the basic questions is, when you have to play and you feel like you have to play really great, somebody's in the room or it's a test or whatever, how do you play? Well, most people say they don't play very good. So I say, now when you don't care so much and when you're just fooling around, how do you play? People say better. So I say to them, great, now that you realize that by your own experience, now you're never going to care again, right? And of course they laugh because they're still going to care. And that's where the programming or reprogramming begins. Learning to touch the instrument without caring, without a lot of desire. Of course you care. You wouldn't be there if you didn't care. But the caring gets in the way as you're about to, whether you're about to write some music, if you care about it being a good piece of music, the problem is you can't write. So write a bad piece of music. Before you know it, you're going. So this is about touching the instrument without attachment. And then what happens is you stop fighting with the instrument and you become part of the instrument, and then something plays you. Now that's the upper levels of this thing. In order to be a channel for wherever that creative force, wherever you believe it is. It could be from within the body, it could be the superconscious. Some people attach religious significance to it, but wherever you think it is, in order to become tuned into that, you have to get out of the way. So the book is mostly about that.
So, well, I'm very fortunate that I read a book, and that was when I first met you, and you were playing with Toots Thielemans in Hong Kong, and you had a workshop.
Oh, yeah, that's
there.
where I met you?
Yes, that was when I met you the first time. Talking about fear, of like going into fear, and talking about love, you've been playing since you were just a few years old. What makes you maintain the love and passion? I mean, it's not so many jobs in this world that they wake up every morning and go and do it for so many years. What is inspiring you to wake up and go to the piano or to compose, keep on composing, keep on developing and making new projects?
I think what inspires me, what gets me up, is learning more stuff. I mean, I have a lot to learn as a composer and an orchestrator. And at the piano, you know, no matter how much you play, there's always more things you could work on that will be useful in improvisation. Today we have a wave of really talented young players. And whether or not they have all the soul of the older players or expression, whatever you want to say, there's no question that it's a super level of technical ability and things you can do with the music and on your instrument. And that inspires me to keep practicing. I want to keep creating greater and greater levels of technical, harmonic, rhythmic, melodic freedom. So to do that, I have to work on little things. And that's what keeps me going. It's not really the passion of playing. I don't really get up there with a passion to play. I get up there, I put my hands on the piano, and then something sort of grows out of that. Now, am I grateful that that's my job? Of course. There are so many worse jobs you could have in this world, and as many people know, you could have no job. So I love that. But it's not like I wake up and go, I want to play. I actually don't have any great urge to play.
Well, talking about
but I'm always interested in learning something.
Right, talking about all your various projects with Mel Lewis, for instance, and your own trios, and the stuff you've been with Dave Douglas or various projects, Toots Thielemans. If you look back on those, was there a special combination or a special group that gave you that little extra spice and shaped you as a player?
Well, playing with Toots was great because you'll never have a more harmonic or melodic voice to play with. And now there's nobody that you could play quite that way. So I could visit a world of beauty with him that I cannot stay in that world. There might be moments of that world with other people, but nobody else has the ability to stay in that place of beauty. So there was a way of playing with Toots, and it definitely added something to me. Otherwise, you know, my trio, which is Ari Honig on drums and Johannes Weidmuller on bass, is really, well, it adds spice because I get a lot from younger players that already have new ways of approaching the time and the rhythm, and then that inspires me to get stronger with that stuff. I'm always interested in a new way of playing the rhythm. I'm not really a traditionalist in that way, and what some people are doing with the rhythm I find is fascinating. So I keep finding what's the thing I could practice that can make me still grow with rhythm, because a lot of players, they get to a place where their playing gets deeper, but it doesn't necessarily change that much.
But haven't it always been like that? If we look at Miles' groups or whatever, he got some fresh blood in, and that changed the concept, and he started to write for them, and so well, that's maybe the natural way to do, because this is the generation, and Ari Honig and Johannes is someday going to take younger players into their groups.
Oh, they are, yeah, Ari already is doing that.
Right. So 10 years from now, where is Kenny Werner?
Boy, I really don't know. You know, I have a big project now, which I'm the artistic director of the Effortless Mastery Institute at Berklee. It's a new thing. And they've given me the space to create something totally new and based on the principles of my book. I think 10 years from now, I'm continuing to write the story of that institute. I don't know if I'll be touring or not. It really depends on what the touring is. I know I don't want to keep getting beat up out here 10 years from now. So I may or may not be touring. It really depends. If the touring goes to a certain another level of interest, maybe I'd still be touring. If it's what I'm doing now, I think I'll stop doing it within the next, before the end of 10 years.
Well, I think I see you up here in Europe more times. Just Just a few words. 2010, you received a very nice Guggenheim Fellowship Award. Can you just also give us a quick insight about the award and the work that you did?
Well, another thing that gets me going in the morning is composing. I feel like there's still a lot more I can learn in composing. And I feel like there's a lot of large pieces that I haven't written that I could still write. It was just nice to be acknowledged. I'm not known so much as a composer, yet I've composed, hundreds of pieces that are played by quintet, trios. I also have 2 big band albums out, so I've composed quite a lot of pieces for that. But there's never been a lot of acknowledgement as a composer because it sort of goes hand in hand with my playing. I play like a composer and I compose like a player, in my mind, So when I got that, it was an acknowledgement. It was a major piece that I wrote, 5-movement piece called No Beginning, No End. And along with it was a choir piece and a string quartet. And it was more functioning as almost like a classical composer than anything I had ever done. And that it was recognized that way was just, it's tremendous. I mean, anybody that says they don't enjoy the recognition is lying. We're out here doing this stuff, we're taking risks, we're giving up a lot, and when we don't get recognition, it's really hard to go on. So it was a great acknowledgement for me, as a composer especially.
Well, we're looking forward to hear more of your work in the future, and it's been a big pleasure, Kenny, to have you on our show, and we're looking forward to hear you play soon again.
Great,
Thank you very much.
Yeah,